All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And if Rosa, if you're on and you want to email me your phone number, then I can find you in the list of numbers and unmute for the Q&A section. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. I want to welcome everyone to TSAHC's training today on avoiding the top errors. This is something that we've worked really hard at preparing for you all to help lenders avoid those top errors made when using our home buying options. This training will actually be hosted by TSAHC every year. So welcome to our very first live training. Joining us today will be myself, Janielle Levesque. I am the Homeownership Programs Director at TSAHC. And then our star for today is Tim Monquest. He is our Compliance Director, and he will be conducting the training today. We also have a few representatives from Lakeview Loan Servicing. We have Tom Dawson and Jed Gunther, and hopefully Rosa will be joining us soon as well. All of these fine folks will be available for our Q&A session at the end of the training session today. And I do ask that you try and hold your questions until the end. At that time, you can type in your questions into the chat feature and I'll read aloud the questions so that everyone can hear both the question and the answer. The first 35 to 40 minutes of the training will be covering the errors that we have seen as the top errors that folks make using our programs. And then the remainder of the training will be a Q&A question where you guys can come to the table with your burning questions that we can answer on the ready. Please note that this training does not meet our training requirement to participate in our programs. This is a supplemental training to help you guys with those most common errors. Finally, we will be recording the training. As I mentioned a moment ago, it's already being recorded. So we even got Jed's karaoke going on at the beginning of the training recorded. And we will be posting it to our website going forward for those of you who want to reference it later. And hopefully, you got everyone on your teams that are going to be either touching a file kind of on the operations side, processors, underwriters, closers, shippers, all of those folks that could benefit from this training on the training today, but if not, at least there is a recorded version going to be available. So again, welcome everyone. I thank you for joining us. And now I am going to turn it over to Tim Monquest, as I mentioned, who is going to conduct the rest of the training. Tim?
Terrific. Thanks, Danielle. Great introduction. Want to thank everybody out there for coming on board and listening to us. The goal here is to kind of go over the lender portal, go through the functionality here, go through reservations, how to look up your loans, how to make sure you're inputting the right information, pulling the right forms and all that kind of stuff. So when you leave here, I hope you have a better understanding about how to use the lender portal, how to get packages into us and get them over to Lakeview quickly so you can get your loans purchased and shut down the process. So the lender portal looks like this. Actually, if you look up at top, one of the main things you want to make sure you guys are doing when you log into the lender portal, use a secure site. And so at the beginning, you'll use HTTPS, not just HTTP. And that'll make sure you have, access to all the functionality in a secure way. If you just do the HTTP, you might not get everything and you might be missing some of the things that the site offers. Okay, so the first thing I want to bring to your attention is the Program Documents tab at the top. You'll see it right here, the middle of the screen. Program Documents are going to have everything you guys need to understand how to do these loans. You see we have income and purchase price limits. My favorite and the most important document out here is the new step-by-step procedures. And these are important to kind of pull these off every now and again. The market has been so volatile lately. We've had a lot of changes to our programs and how they work and the procedures that we have to abide by. So pull these down every now and again to make sure you have the right one. And I think the best way to make sure you're getting the most out of these programs is to keep the step-by-step document by your side as you're doing a loan, both making a reservation and uploading documents for review. It's a really handy tool, and it's very detailed and comprehensive. So if you take anything away from this slide, pull down this step-by-step and just have it with you when you go through these programs. And I'll bring it up right here. So the thing you want to do when you make your reservation and you come out here to start processing your loan on the lender portal, first you want to follow the column that matches your program. You can see the first column here is the non-bond DPA program. That's DPA only, no MCC. Then you've got your your MCC program, the next, and then your combined non-bond DPA MCC. We don't currently have a bond program, so you can kind of, for the time being at least, forget about that fourth column. It makes it a little bit easier if you don't have to worry about whether you're doing a bond loan or a non-bond loan. Everything we do right now, currently, and for the foreseeable future is going to be non-bond DPA or DPA MCC. Okay, so when you're looking at this document, just look at the required documents and just stick to those. We don't want to, we get a lot of full closing packages. That's, they're 914 pages long. We don't need to see all those, all of your closing documents, just the ones that we need. And that goes through the pre-closing compliance documents too. So if you guys can look at the first column here, all we want on the DPA only program, when we're talking about the pre-closing compliance package, we want a copy of the checklist, underwriter certification form, program affidavit, the new URLA, and a copy of the purchase contract. That's it. This is a really easy package to put together. You'll upload your 1003 and the purchase contract just as they are. Make sure when you pull down the program affidavit that you are completing all the blank fields in there. A lot of them are going to pre-fill, but you will have to answer some questions about borrower's income, whether or not they're a hero. Just make sure you answer all the questions out there. We get a lot of program affidavits in that are incomplete, and it just takes a little time to get those corrected and re-uploaded. So just make sure they're done right the first time. Underwriter certification form is a part of the pre-closing compliance package. So we have to have that in addition to these other three documents to give you a final pre-closing approval. We get these kind of separate a lot. We get the pre-closing package, and then you guys will follow up, or your underwriter will follow up with the underwriter certification form, and that's fine. We understand underwriters like to come in on the back end and make sure everything else is done first. But just understand that underwriter cert is part of the pre-closing package, and we need that to give you an approval. So we have a new 1003, we have a new uniform residential loan application, or the URLA. We understand that the borrower portion of this URLA is separate from the lender loan information portion. We do need that lender loan information addendum in addition to this, the borrower portion of the URLA. So make sure you are providing us both the borrower information and the lender loan information when you upload that URLA. And also look for the appropriate stage and status in each step. So if you look over here on step number 4, you can see the stage, you'll find compliance package received. That's when we get that compliance package from you, and compliance package reviewed over here. And that's when we actually look at the documents that you send in to us. If the status is incomplete, click the view button to find out what you're missing or what kind of outstanding conditions there are. Fix those, send them in to us, and you'll get an approved after we have time to look at those things. And once that pre-closing package is approved, it's going to show committed. And when it shows committed, that means your pre-closing package has been approved and your commitment or approval letter is available in the lender portal under the PDF docs button. All right, let's move on. Still talking about the lender portal. Okay, now, once you make your reservation, you're going to want to go out there and make sure you can bring up your loan, make sure that you know what status that loan is in. And I'll bring up some screenshots here. So when you pull up a loan, what you're going to do is you're going to see this red arrow. You're going to input your TSAHC reservation number. Okay, it's 12 characters. You'll input that, hit go, and then it'll bring this thing up at the bottom here. If you have a problem remembering what that reservation number is, or if you can't, it's not working for you, come over here to the advanced search section, put in your borrower name, just the borrower last name, and you can pull it up that way. Sometimes when we do make a program change, your reservation number will change as well. The first 3 digits of your reservation number make up the product that you're going to be using. So if we change products, if you ask us to change from DPA to a DPA MCC, those first 3 digits are going to change, and you may have better luck searching for that loan under your borrower name or social security number. Okay, so once you get in here, we have a view button, which is going to show you all the characteristics of your loan. It will also tell you if we have any outstanding conditions and give you other information about that reservation that you have made. We also have a reprint document. So if you want to get your new reservation confirmation, let's say you just need a copy of your confirmation, or if you've made some changes, and you want to make sure those changes have been applied, click the reprint button and you can see what your loan is going to look like and make sure all those items have been changed correctly. PDF docs. This is where you're going to get all of your required TSAHC documentation, from the checklist, both pre-closing and post-closing, to your second mortgage notes and deeds of trust, to all other required TSAHC documentation. eDocs. This is where you're gonna click on this when you want to upload documents to the file. Again, once you made your reservation, you're ready to upload your pre-closing compliance package for review. Click on the eDocs button, and I'll show you a screen print of that in a minute to show you how to upload those documents, and we'll just take it from there. This screen, or this view, will also show you what stage and status your loan is in. So this one, we're just going to say it was recently reserved, and it's in approved stage, because when it's reserved, we just kind of call that approved, and it just means that we have a reserved file with no other documentation. Okay, here's a view of the view button. So you're going to come in here and you're going to see your reservation expiration date and your commitment expiration date. Those are always going to be the same. When you go out and make a TSAHC reservation, that reservation is going to be good for 60 days, okay? So what that means is, on the commitment expiration date, you must have your loan delivered to and purchased by Lakeview within that time period to meet that criteria. If you can't meet that criteria, you're going to have to pull down an extension request form, which I'm going to go over later, and make sure you have enough time to deliver that loan and get it funded by Lakeview. When you pull up this view button, make sure that the program that you reserved, or the program that you wanted to reserve, is a program that you have reserved. So this one is our combination DPA MCC program. It's a government loan grant program, 3% DPA. And this is our old overlay that we just recently changed, so you won't be seeing that anymore in any new reservations. And we're thankful that has been lifted finally. This is the lower portion of the view button. You can see down here, if there are any outstanding conditions, you're going to find them under the HFA HFA's conditions, exceptions tab. So when we go in there and we look at your documents, if we find that a document is incomplete or a required document is missing, you will find those HFA conditions here. This one is a good file, apparently. This shows again that the file was reserved on 6/2/2020, and that goes back to your commitment expiration date of 8/1/20, which is your 60 days. All right, reprint button. This is a copy of your reservation that you made. So once you make your reservation, it's a good idea to go out there, hit the reprint button, and make sure that all the data on this form matches to what you think it should be. Okay, because sometimes, you know, you could fat finger a field and not put in the right information, or maybe you meant to reserve a second mortgage program loan instead of a grant. So just go through here and make sure all this information is correct, and especially this interest rate tab here. So we want to make sure that when you reserve a loan, you reserve it under a certain interest rate. That loan must be delivered with that interest rate. So there are no buy downs to rates. There's no you know, any kind of float down or anything like that. So the rate at which this loan is reserved is the rate at which it should be delivered to Lakeview for purchase. We've had quite a few problems with this of late, and I'm not sure why we're having that issue, but if you do deliver a loan with the incorrect interest rate, you're likely going to have to pay the price difference between the correct rate and the rate at which it was delivered, which can sometimes be a healthy charge. So just keep that in mind when you're going through this stuff. All right. Again, make sure the program that you see here is the one that you have reserved or the one you wanted to reserve. This shows you that your reservation has been accepted. And again, the interest rate, I guess I should have put these arrows out there before I went through my diatribe, but anyway, here they are. Okay, so this is your PDF docs button. So these PDF docs, they are all exclusive to the program or the product that you have chosen. So this one is for this loan number right here. And these documents are going to change depending on which product that you have chosen. So this one is for our second mortgage program, not the grant program. So you'll see you have a pre-closing checklist, reaffirmation of mortgage, seller's affidavit, and here we get into your second mortgage, collateral documents, a promissory note, a deed of trust, and a servicing transfer letter. So the servicing transfer letter is due at the time you submit your closing package. We are Lakeview, and actually their subservicer, Loan Care LLC, is servicing these loans. So we want you to give these borrowers a transfer letter letting them know that the servicing of their second mortgage loan has been transferred to Loan Care LLC. And I think we talk about that a little later in the presentation. And there's your arrow after the fact. Okay, now as you generate documents, one thing that we have been seeing is lenders like to sometimes generate these documents and then kind of incorporate them into their LOS. Not a good idea. These documents change a lot, especially in the last couple of years. You know, we come up with these new programs, new products. We come up with different overlays that are kind of market driven. So the best way to do this is to, whenever you want to start uploading documents for a reservation that you've made, is make sure you click on this PDF docs button and pull these documents down directly from the lender portal. It's going to save you a lot of trouble if you try to use a document or a checklist that's outdated or obsolete. Just for every loan that you do, when you want to start uploading the documents, go to the PDF docs button and pull down these documents from their current state. It'll save you a lot of time on the back end. This is also where you're going to find your collateral documents for the second mortgage note and deed of trust. Everything that's hard coded on these documents, don't change those. We've seen some lenders go out there and change a trustee on page 1 or some other information out there. All the hard coded stuff needs to stay. You will be asked to fill in some blanks. We're going to go over those in a little more detail lately. But a lot of these documents are going to pre-fill. So the pre-fill information should match what you have on your reservation form or what has ultimately been input into our system. So they should be good when you get them out. And again, if you take anything away from this slide, make sure you pull these documents from your loan after every loan reservation that you make. Okay. eDocs button. Okay, these are where you're going to upload your documents. So you click on those eDocs button and you are going to go to the Add New button here. And so if you want to upload your underwriter certification, you'll click this Add New button, and then it'll take you through the process to upload that document. Very simple. Once you've uploaded the document, you're going to hit Submit. This is grayed out right now, but once the document has been uploaded, you want to hit this Submit button. This will alert my team that we have documents to review. So if you don't hit Submit, we'll ultimately find these documents that have been uploaded, but we won't get them in our daily report to let us know to review these things. So it's important for timely review to get that Submit button clicked and get these documents to us. Now, what I'm going to ask you right now is to upload a complete package all at one time. We are not going to not review documents that are sent in piecemeal, but it is much easier for us to review an entire package all at once. Okay, we receive between 350 and 450 files per day to review. So if we're looking at these things and touching them 3 or 4 or 5 times because we're getting piecemeal information, or if information is correct or missing, it just adds a lot of time to our workday. And it makes, your timely purchase of your loan be a little delayed. So it suits both of us to have these packages uploaded all together. Now, of course, I understand, you may have a process where you want to upload the pre-closing package and then follow with the underwriter certification. That's fine, but just make sure we have the complete pre-closing package, and then the underwriter cert, and that'll make it a lot easier on us and make it a lot better for you on the back end. All right, let's look at the reservation screen. Okay, so here's the opening screen you're going to get. What you're going to do is click on New Reservation. And here's what you're going to see when you pull that up. So up at the top here, these top 3 programs are our down payment assistance only, no MCC. Down here are our combination DPA MCC products. And at the bottom, finally down here is the standalone MCC with no DPA. Okay, so what you want to do here is just make sure you're picking the proper product. So if you look up here at the top one right here, this is your DPA conventional 3-year forgivable. This is the second mortgage product, the 3-year forgivable second. Right below here is the grant. So if you're looking for the grant, make sure you come down here and don't go up here or down here to the forgivable section. We're seeing a lot of errors. People think they're reserving a grant and they reserved a second mortgage, or vice versa, or they did it and meant to add the MCC and they didn't do it. It takes a lot of work on the back end to transfer these products if they're not done correctly on the front end. So just be careful when you're making these reservations. Make sure you choose the right one. Man, I got to work on getting these getting these circles out here quicker. Okay. So,
Hey, Tim, we could comment that on Sarah. She does that to me all the time too. All her little animations, you know.
yeah. Well, if I would have gone through this at least one time before I did it, I guess.
Well, you think you got your notes all figured out, not realizing she has animations going with each. And
Yeah.
I apologize. I should have pointed that out. But she does a great job putting the slide deck together. Nothing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Okay. So here, I want to make this, please pay attention to this because this has really been a new issue that we've been seeing. We just started offering these. We have better pricing for our under 80% AMFI conventional loans. So we're able to pass those savings on to you and get you a better interest rate if your borrower is earning under 80% of the median family income. Okay, so when you're going out here, before you make your conventional reservation, look at the income limit chart. If your borrower is earning below 80%, make sure you're reserving under this 80% AMFI product up here. If they're earning over 80%, you want to come down here and make sure you choose that reservation. The problem occurs, and this is kind of new because we just started offering these different income products. So if you go out there and you have a borrower that is actually eligible for the under 80% AMFI product, and you put them in the over 80, and now they have, let's say, a 3.75% interest rate as opposed to a 3.375% interest rate. Lakeview delivers these to Fannie Mae based on the qualifying income. So regardless of how you input this into our system, they have to deliver to Fannie under the proper product. So if they find that the borrower is eligible for an under 80% AMFI loan and you've delivered at over 80 with a higher interest rate, we're going to have to ask you to do a loan modification to bring that loan down to the proper interest rate so it can be delivered to Fannie Mae correctly and priced correctly without any problems on the back end. Now, let's say you do it the other way where your borrower, you thought your borrower is available or eligible for an under 80 loan. I'm sorry. Yeah. Wait a minute. Yeah, you thought your borrower was eligible for under 80. They were not. So you close that loan with the under 80 interest rate of 3.375 when actually it should have been 3.75 under the over 80 product. Then we have an instance where you can't go back to the borrower and raise their interest rate. So in order to deliver that loan to Lakeview, we're going to have to clip your purchase wire for the difference in price between the 375 rate and the 3.375% rate. And I'm telling you right now, that can be a little pricey sometimes. And we see this quite a bit. It's kind of it's hard to catch on the front end based on the documentation that we get because we're not really sure, whether or not it fits in under or over. So it's kind of hard to find on the front end. So it's really imperative for you guys to make sure you check those income limits and make sure you reserve under the right product. And I think we may talk about this later, or I know it's a lot to take in. So if you have questions, let's just talk about this a little bit later in the presentation in the Q&A. All right, for the government products, we offer 640 grants, 640 plus FICO, and we offer also 620 to 639 FICO buckets. So if you have a borrower that's in the 620 to 639 FICO range, their mid FICO score, you are going to be hit for a 50 basis points low FICO fee. So again, we're seeing a lot of mistakes here where you have a 700 FICO borrower, you're putting them in this 620 to 639 bucket, and you're getting charged that 50 basis points hit on the back end. So just be aware we've got two different product buckets here, and one of them's going to cost you 50 basis points, the low FICO bucket, the other one won't. So Just make sure you reserve properly. Don't rush through this. Make sure you choose the right product, and it'll save a lot of time and heartache on the back end.
Would you suggest, Tim, if the credit scores change at some point during the process, that they contact us before submitting it?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we do our best to you know, to find out, to make sure that it is reserved properly. But if the credit score changes in the process, we definitely need to be notified so we can make that change and flip it to the right bucket. If we don't flip it to the right bucket, you're going to be charged, and then we have to go through the back end process of getting you refunded. All right, so reservations. In order to make sure that these loans go through smoothly and efficiently, the reservation is where it starts. So this is the first step in the process, obviously. Again, because we've added some new products, we have some new ways that you have to reserve these things and some new fields that you've got to input. So let's kind of go through these. Program documents, you're going to find a new reservation cheat sheet, okay? And what this will help you do is make sure you're putting the right information in the right field. So let's look at a couple of these. You want to enter the total loan amount, including MIP. So we're looking for total loan amount, not base loan amount. And this is going to go for every loan, every product that we have. We always want you to tell us what that total loan amount is, including any financed MIP, okay? We don't want the base loan amount here. If you input the base loan amount and you apply or you base your DPA amount off that base loan amount, it's gonna be wrong on the back end, and you are probably gonna owe your borrower some money after closing. So you have to do a post-closing disclosure and get borrower reimbursed for whatever they were shorted. This is a big one here too. This subordinate financing field right here. This field is for additional subordinate financing outside of what TSAHC is providing. So you want to leave this blank. Don't put anything in here. If we see it filled in, we're going to remove it and put a 0 in here. So this is for anything outside of what TSAHC provides. You'll see over here, we need your lender loan number. Important, really important to get this lender loan number in here properly, because this is going to transfer over to the Lakeview database. And this number is what you're going to use to find your loan on the Lakeview database. So make sure this is input correctly. If not, you're not going to be able to find your loan when you submit that purchase file to Lakeview. What else is important here? Okay, when you're coming down here to purchase price, acquisition costs, they're going to be the same thing. And once you input the purchase price, it'll automatically pre-fill the acquisition cost. We just want the same value in there. We actually have a new reservation sheet where it's going to ask you whether or not you're inputting monthly data or annual data when it comes to income. So that'll transfer over to our backend system properly. Just make sure you input the right amount there. Household size is always required, but the breakdown is not. So again, look at all these asterisk fields. These are the only ones we need you to put a value in. So anything else, don't worry about. We don't care about 18 and under. We don't care about I don't know. We don't care about much. But just put in what the asterisks tell you to put in, and we'll be fine with that. Okay, now I told you earlier we've added a few new products over the past year or so. The 3-year forgivable second mortgage loan. When you make a reservation for a second mortgage loan product, it's going to come up a little differently. You're going to see your first mortgage section up here, and then your second mortgage section down here. Your first mortgage section, again, you're going to leave that subordinate financing field blank. You're going to put your subordinate loan amount down here in the second mortgage loan amount field. And again, this is based on the overall loan amount. So when you put this in, you put your loan amount up here, the first mortgage loan amount. If you do a 5% DPA grant on a $100,000 loan amount, you're going to put You're going to put $5,000 here in this loan amount field. Now, we rely on you to put this proper loan amount in. We can't calculate that for you. It's not going to correct for you if you put the wrong loan amount in here. We do our best to make sure that the first mortgage loan amounts line up with the second mortgage loan amounts, but we don't catch everything. And if you get to a point where you create your second mortgage collateral documents and they have the wrong loan amount, it's going to be a lot of work to get those things corrected, get the deed of trust re-recorded with the right amounts, and all that kind of stuff. So again, make sure when you input this second mortgage loan amount, it's based on the DPA percentage off that final first mortgage loan amount. Very important. This is also, we get some questions about this. We have to put a loan type in for the second mortgage. Since the second mortgage is really not FHA or conventional or VA loan, we just default this to conventional. So if you do a FHA first mortgage and you see a conventional second, don't worry about that. It's just the default loan type that we put in there. Okay, the term for the 3-year second is 36 months. So we had another DPA second mortgage product that went the full 30-year term, but when you get to this term right here, you'll be able to click on the arrow and input 36 as opposed to 360, and that's another important item to remember. Lender loan number. It's going to be the same as your first mortgage or your first TSAHC loan number. You're just going to add S to it, and that'll kind of tack it on the back of your first mortgage reservation. All right. Now we're done with that kind of recap of the lender portal. I hope you guys got something out of that. You know, it's important to start there and make sure everything is done properly on the front end to avoid problems on the back end, of course. But if we don't avoid those problems, we're going to go through the top, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 errors that we see. And we're going to try to help you get through these and tell you what to input, tell you what not to input, and try to get you to where we can get these loans approved and purchased as quickly as possible. So by far, the most common errors that we get are with the second mortgage collateral documents, the second mortgage note and the second mortgage deed of trust. Okay, so when you're putting in your second mortgage loan amount, the loan amount can be rounded up or down. We don't really care. You know, if you put in the cents on your second mortgage loan amount, if you put in the exact amount with cents, our system is going to take those cents out and just, it'll be rounded up or down depending on you know, what the ratio is. So, you know, it can be up or down. We don't care. We just want it a whole number. Another thing that we see a lot is the incorrect maturity date. So it's going to be the 3rd anniversary of the closing date. So maturity date for a February 10th, 2020 loan is going to be February 10th, 2023. You don't go to 3/1/2023 or 2/1/2023. We want the exact 3 years from the closing date. Now, if you make a mistake and you input 3/1/2023, we'll accept it, but we really do want you to put in the 3 years from the note date. Now, the good news is that we've got new forms for the note and the deed of trust that will automatically pre-fill the maturity date for you when you put in the note date at the top of the page. So when you put in your note date and use the proper format, 02/10/2020, if you put that in that format, that maturity date is going to pre-fill for you, so there's no trouble there, no errors. We hope that you find this helpful, and we know it's already been helping us avoid some errors on the back end.
And another reason why you should always use the documents directly from
Yes.
the lender portal.
Yep. Okay. Now, another problem that we see on these notes, on these second mortgage notes, is there's a question on page 2 in the middle of the page on the note, not the deed of trust, and it asks for the people who are liable for security for payment of the loan section. And this means whoever's going to be on your deed of trust. So if you have a borrower going sole and separate, they're the only ones on the note, you need to add the NPS to this section of page 2 of the note, because it relates to the second mortgage deed of trust, which they have to sign due to Texas law. Now, there's no need for the NPS to sign. We just need to add their name there to page 2, security for payment of loan section. Okay. All right, that's enough for the note. Let's go to, well, no, it's not enough for the note. All right, so if we have a problem with the note, we need that to be corrected. And we need either a wet signature or wet initials on the correction. So please keep that in mind. For all note corrections, we can't just accept a copy of page 2 where you've added that NPS. We need that initialed with a wet initial or wet signature. Now, if you want to do the whole note over again, just pull a new note from the PDF doc section, fill it out correctly, and just have it re-signed. And I think that's probably as easy as going to get initials corrected. All right, deed of trust. The second most troublesome document that we have. Okay, so the first and the most common error that we get is we have a section on the second mortgage deed of trust on page 2 at the top of the page where we ask for senior loan information. That means the related first mortgage loan. So we want the first mortgage loan amount. We want to know who's on the note, who's on the deed of trust. And we also need your trustee from that related first mortgage deed of trust. So David Long is our president, and he's the trustee on page 1 of the deed of trust. Okay, but on page 2, we're looking for your trustee on the related first mortgage deed of trust. So just keep that in mind. Don't input David Long again. Make sure you're inputting your trustee from that first mortgage deed of trust. And don't change the information that's hard coded. All that's correct. You know, we have some scratch outs and writing in stuff that's not correct. So just leave all the hard coded stuff as it is. Again, the maturity date, that'll pre-fill when you input that note date at the top of the page, so you don't have to worry about that much anymore. And missing the deed of trust date. When you're filling out these second mortgage documents, we want the dates on these things to match the first mortgage collateral. So your note date on the second mortgage side and your deed of trust date on the second mortgage side should match those dates on your senior lien, on that related first lien document. So just make sure that you don't have some wonky second mortgage dates. Maybe they signed after closing. We want to make sure those documents are dated the same as the first mortgage documents. All right. So if you make a mistake on the deed of trust, if it is a non-material error, and this is the preferred method of correction, is a scrivener's affidavit or a correction affidavit. So what this is a document you'll state what corrections were made. You'll submit that to county recorder's office, and they will add those corrections to the existing recorded deed of trust. If you make a material error, And the difference between material and non-material is kind of subjective. Your internal compliance department or your title company will determine for you whether or not the material or non-material. If it is a material mistake, we're going to need that deed of trust, that document itself corrected and re-recorded. Okay. All we need is a copy of the corrected deed of trust and a letter of intent to re-record. But again, I would say 95% of the errors that we see on the deed of trust can be corrected with that scrivener's affidavit. So that is definitely the preferred method, easier for you and easier for us. Oh, this is huge. Please listen to me on this one. We have been receiving a lot of original second mortgage notes at our building in Austin. These original documents need to go to Lakeview. So if you send them to us, and this has been a bigger deal lately because we just moved offices and we've had notes sitting in our old office, and we'd have to go back and figure out where they need to go, who they're from, and then we just kind of forward them on to Lakeview. But it really delays their ability to purchase loans promptly. And it just adds even more risk of that original document being lost. So make sure you don't send any original note documents to TSAHC. And of course, the deed of trust is going to go to Lakeview's collateral document area, and it's a third party. But that address is up on top of the actual deed of trust, so you should see that, or the title company should see that when they're making ready to send those documents out. Okay. Okay, so we've already gone through this. I think don't put anything in the supportive financing field. It should be left blank. Second mortgage section, the loan amount is based on that percentage of the DPA of the first mortgage loan amount, the final loan amount, not the base loan amount, and just make sure that is correct when you input that at reservation. All right, this document here is a post-closing document. People confuse this sometimes for the program affidavit and put it in the pre-closing package. Just know that this is a document that should be included in the post-closing package. And please be sure to put the date in here and the maturity date. Now, I don't think this maturity date is going to pre-fill here, so just make sure you put in the proper maturity date when you complete this document.
Tim, is also common that one of the most common mistakes is they leave the principal amount out, or does that automatically populate and people are taking it out?
It does not automatically populate. So, well, no, it does. I'm sorry, it does. So if it's correct on the second mortgage loan document, it's going to be correct here.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. All right, top error number 4. Okay, not downloading the correct PDF documents directly from our portal. We talked about this earlier. When you go out there to upload documents for review, make sure you go to the PDF docs button, which is right here. And make sure when you pull those documents, you complete them thoroughly. Make sure they're completed. One of the main errors that we get across all forms of documentation is the fields are not completed. So we get incomplete documents that you guys have to go back, maybe get the borrower to re-sign or do some other things. So just make sure you pull the documents from the DPA docs button and do it for every loan. Don't save to your LOS and try to do it that way, because these documents are ever changing and they are exclusive to the products that we have here. So You know, if you're doing a DPA MCC, the docs are going to be different than a standalone DPA. Right. Okay, so here again is the list of forms. Again, they're all out there. They're all pre-fill, with the exception of a few fields that you guys have to go in and put in yourself. But for the majority of the fields are already going to be pre-filled, and if your reservation is right, the documents are going to be right. All right, here's another big one. We get a lot of questions on cosigners, okay? So we consider a cosigner somebody that signs your note, providing additional security for the loan. Cosigners will not occupy the property. They will be non-occupants. They don't sign the deed of trust, and they cannot take an ownership interest. They cannot be on title to the property. So we want them to sign, the cosigner is going to sign the note only, not the deed of trust. Again, they don't get any ownership in the property, and they don't take title. So I think that's pretty straightforward. The problem that we get is some of you guys want to add a occupant girlfriend or boyfriend or somebody else to title when they're not on the loan. Please don't do that. Nobody that's not on the loan can be on title except the NPS, non-purchasing spouse. So don't add a boyfriend or a girlfriend. If you want my personal opinion, that's not the way to go anyway. You don't want to give somebody any interest in a property that they have no liability for, no requirement or obligation to repay that loan. But anyway, we don't allow it. Oh, let me go back. One more important thing. Co-signers are not allowed on conventional loans, only government loans. Okay. All right, top error number 6. This is about extensions. So all TSAHC reservations are good for 60 days. So if you're doing a new construction, or it's a new property, or you expect delays or whatever, don't reserve that loan until you have a pretty good idea of when you can get to closing. So reservations are good for 60 days, and that means after reservation, you have to have that loan closed, funded on your end, delivered to and purchased by our servicer, investor, Lakeview, within that 60-day period. If you don't think you're going to make that date, you'll need to pull a extension request form. I don't know what all this means, but you'll pull from the PDF docs button, and you'll just complete that, and you can email it to somebody, or you can just add it to your upload to the lender portal. Now, extensions are going to cost you, for an extension of 1 to 15 days, it'll be 0.125%. It'll cost you an eighth. For up to 30 days, it'll cost you a quarter of a point. And for 45 days, it's 0.375, I think. So make sure you don't reserve too early, and because you don't want to get stuck with an extension fee if you don't think you can get that loan closed, delivered, and purchased within 60 days. All right, we're going to switch gears to the DPA MCC program. So one question we get a lot are on tax returns. So we will accept either 3 years of actual tax returns that have been filed, or we will accept the transcripts that you request directly from the IRS. If you're going to submit the actual returns, we have to have a signature on the bottom of a borrower's signature on the bottom of those tax returns. So if they come over blank with those signature, we're going to condition for that, and you'll have to go back and get them signed by your borrower. So another big condition that we get is the current tax return. So IRS requirement, this is an MCC IRS requirement, okay? So if a loan closes that has an MCC on it after February 15th of 2021, we need their 2020 tax return. So even though the filing date in Texas is not until, I think it's June 15th now, if the loan was closed after February 15th, we need that 2020 return. So if they want the MCC, they're going to have to file and be able to provide us a copy of that tax return. Now, again, we don't need the transcript. So if you get conditioned for this and you need the 2020 return, but it hasn't been filed yet, just have them file it. You know, I don't think any of these people that are using our programs have that sophisticated of tax returns. Maybe they do, but I think it's pretty easy to get them filed and just send a copy to us, signed by the borrower, and we'll accept that and get you going. Okay, moving right along. Top error number 8. The seller's affidavit is a document required by the MCC program. It's an IRS required document. So this is a document that we don't get signed a lot. It's part of the closing package, and the seller should be signing this at closing, but a lot of times they don't want to do that for whatever reason, even though it's an innocuous document. It's inoffensive. I don't know why they don't want to sign, but they don't on occasion. We have to have this document in order to approve the MCC. My recommendation would be to have the seller sign this document ahead of closing, so you don't get to the closing table and have a problem. You know, we do on occasion, you know, if you've gone to great lengths to get this thing signed after closing, but can't, and you can document that process, we'll sometimes be able to make an exception. But for the most part, just make sure that this seller affidavit is signed. It's required by the IRS, not our requirement, so we can't waive it. All right, I think we have one more. 9, yeah, okay. So MCC or MCC DPA program only, we're looking for household income. So we need household income, total gross household income, even if you're not using all to qualify the borrowers for the mortgage. So you'll see an appendix in our MCC DPA guidelines that'll show you exactly what constitutes household income. It's basically anybody signing the deed of trust, we need their gross income, whether or not you're using that to qualify. So if you have an MPS on the loan, they're going to be signing that deed of trust. We need to get his or her income. We need to compare that to our income limits. So that's kind of the big difference between our DPA only and our DPA MCC or standalone MCC is the income that we look at to compare against income limits. DPA only is going to be qualifying income. DPA MCC or MCC standalone is going to be total household income. Okay. All right. So we're done with the detail. Now we're just going to recap a little bit. Errors on deed and note. Correct note. When you correct a note, just pull a complete new note from the lender portal. Just recomplete and have the borrower re-sign, or you can get those, you know, corrections initial with a wet signature. Correction, deed of trust, scrivener's affidavit is by far the most preferred method of correction. Most errors are non-material, so you can use a scrivener's affidavit to get those done. It's much easier than getting a new deed of trust re-recorded. Incorrect second lien mortgage amount. Make sure always, all of our second lien mortgages, all of our grant DPA, it's all based on the total loan amount, including MIP, not the base loan amount. So when you're inputting that into your reservation, or when you're making changes to the loan amount, the first mortgage loan amount, make sure you ensure that we're changing that second mortgage loan amount as well based on the new first mortgage total loan amount. All right, recap number 3, pull the correct PDF documents on every file from the lender portal. They change a lot, they're different for different programs. So one will not work for DPA only, it's not gonna work for DPA MCC. It's not gonna work for under 80 AMFI and all those good things. So make sure you pull your documents for every loan from the PDF docs button and complete and submit accordingly. Lock rate extensions. The extension form is in the PDF docs button in the lender portal. Don't send us one if you don't need it. They're not required, just if you can't get that loan purchased by Lakeview within 60 days from reservation. Another MCC, tax returns are input in the file. Right now we require 2017, 2018, I'm sorry, 18, 19, and 20. But if you're doing the returns themselves, not the transcripts, make sure they're signed before they're uploaded. Borrower signature. Seller affidavit, make sure you get that signed by the seller. It's almost impossible to get a seller to sign something after the fact, so make sure they do it. You can do it prior to closing or make sure that's done at the closing table. DPA MCC or DPA or MCC only, household income, not qualifying income. Everybody who signs a deed of trust, we need their income, gross income, regardless of whether or not you're using it to qualify. Where are lender tools? Well, you can go to our lenders tab on our website, www.readytobuyatexashome.com, and you'll see the lenders tab here, lender training. I wonder if there's a tab. Yeah, there we go. See, I learned at the last slide, Janielle, that there are things coming up.
I'm glad you finally figured it out.
Last screen. Okay, so the lender training button is right here. It'll bring up all of the lender training modules. It'll tell you who should be taking which one. I think module 1 is probably for loan processors and maybe LOs. 2 is for LOs. I don't know. It'll be out there. It'll be labeled correctly. But these are really good training tools. They're very comprehensive. And we use them a lot to when we bring on new lenders and things like that. And if you want to view the latest news, that's typically where we post our interest rates daily. So those are normally posted by 8:45 or so in the morning. They don't change daily, but if we have an important announcement or if you want to check what the rates are for that, click your view latest news button here. I think this document pops up when you enter the lender portal, so I think it hits you right in the face. But read it because it changes frequently, and we offer some good tips out there and ways to kind of, make the whole process go easier and smoother. I don't know what this is for, program documents. Oh, and the final slide, this is how you can get in touch with us. Janielle, are we making this available?
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't have to go through this. You can have a copy of this whole presentation, but don't contact this guy right here. You're better off going over here somewhere, or up here. Just kind of leave this guy alone. But anyway, that's all I have. Danielle, are we going to open it up for questions?
Okay. Sure, yes. So for those of you out there who have been waiting patiently to ask your questions, I have noticed several questions coming into the chat feature. I think it might be easier for everyone to see the questions if you could click on the Q&A box and actually enter them on the Q&A section. There should be a ribbon at the bottom of your Ring Central software where you can click on the Q&A portion. And Tim will be able to see your screen the whole time.
Okay.
So you might want to stop sharing at this point so that,
Okay, there.
there you go. Okay. Perfect. So I did notice, Tim, that we did have a question come across from someone asking about whether or not we can provide a Scrivener's affidavit for their use.
No, we don't have a general standard form of Scrivener's affidavit, and I think they differ. Again, we have different title companies that want to see something specific. We have different lenders with different internal compliance departments that want to see something specific. So we ask each lender to create and complete their own specific form of Scrivener's affidavit. We don't care what they look like because you're going to be sending these to either your title company or directly to the county recorder's office. So, you know, we're going to check to make sure that you address all the corrections in the affidavit, but we don't care what form it's in.
Okay. So while we're waiting, I do want to remind everyone to get those questions in now, but I will go ahead and read some of the comments and or questions that we had submitted through our chat while we're waiting for folks to submit through the Q&A. One of the questions that I had while you were doing the training, Tim, is on for a borrower that is W-2 income only, are tax returns required on DPA or all programs, or how does that work?
For W-2 only, we only require tax returns for the MCC standalone program or the DPA MCC program. So if you have a W-2 borrower, we still need the tax returns if you're doing an MCC component to the loan. If not,
so regardless of how they are paid,
right,
it's
right.
based on program type, not
For MCC, right, yeah.
Okay.
For DPA only, we don't need the tax returns.
Perfect. And then I had someone submit, which I would like to read. I thought Alexandria provided a great explanation. She wanted to know, if we could clarify in more detail to the audience what the difference of the bond and non-bonds are. And she provided what she has been expressing to folks as the explanation. And I just thought it was a great explanation, so I wanted to share it. So she said, bond lingo confuses folks, and I agree. In the HFA world and out there in the private sector, everyone calls our loans bond loans, but they are not all bond loans anymore. They used to be, when we originally started doing HFA loans, they were all bond source loans. So I think that lingo has just carried throughout the years, although we don't even really do bond loans that often anymore. I think we've done one bond program in the last 10 years or so, Tim?
Yeah, because we were forced to by our president.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I love her explanation, and I wanted to share that. She said that the DPA is provided from two different sources: non-bond DPA, which is financed through non-bond market sales of mortgage-backed securities backed by the loans, and this can be used with an MCC. So that's how we're able to combine DPA and MCCs together, because that DPA is not technically bond funded. Whereas bond DPA is provided from the proceeds of tax exempt single family mortgage revenue bonds issued under Section 143 of the Internal Revenue Code. And this cannot be paired with an MCC because it's like double dipping for a tax credit. So TSAHC does not offer any products that are tax exempt at this time. And so you compare all of our DPA products that we currently have with an MCC. I thought that was a great explanation. I just wanted to share.
Oh, that was spot on. It sounds like somebody has experience with mortgage revenue bonds.
I know, I was impressed. She even quoted the IRS code. So do we have any other questions out there? It looks like I might have one. One, join the meeting late, and is there a downloadable presentation for me to catch up on? Yes, we did record the presentation, and later this afternoon or tomorrow, depending on how long it takes me to download the presentation, I will respond to everyone and send out a copy of the slide deck and the recorded presentation so that you can catch up. I think Tim did an amazing job, and I'm so pleased that he volunteered or forcefully volunteered to conduct this training today.
Did I volunteer? I don't remember.
I wouldn't say you volunteered. I made you do it. No. you know, Sarah and I do a lot of the trainings, but I really felt with this training that Tim provides so much more insight since he and his team are the ones reviewing the files. They have so many more ins and outs of how things work that I just felt like he would provide so much better information than I could. And you did, Tim. You did a great job. Thank you. So glad we have it recorded. And so I'm going to move on to another question. It says, are you expecting the TSAHC's bond DPA program to return? And that's from Maylee. Maylee, I hope not.
We hope not.
Yeah, I say that only just because it causes so much confusion. When we offered a bond program again a couple of years ago, it really did offer a lot of confusion to folks. But it truly is market driven. Right now, the market is just not feasible to offer a bond program when our mortgage-backed securities or TBA programs offer a much better interest rate to home buyers. So there is nothing at the moment planned, but not to say that we won't be offering it again sometime in the future. Would you agree with that,
Yeah,
Tim?
I do think Lakeview wants us to do another one though. They're eager to do it again.
Oh
No?
no, Jed?
No, we're good.
Great. Oh, by the way, Rosa, did I get you on there? Are you able to talk now?
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can. Great. Wonderful, Rosa. I'm glad you made an appearance. That's wonderful. So as a reminder, we do have some Lakeview folks on the call. If anyone has any questions about, you know, delivering files or, you know, working with Lakeview on getting these sold to them, now is the time to ask those questions. Please go into the Q&A box and ask your questions. And let's see, it looks like I might have a couple new comments or questions in the chat feature. Someone asked about getting a copy of the presentation as well. Yes, I will definitely send those out. And Vicki, thank you. Yes, Tim was voluntold. He was voluntold versus volunteered. Audra asked, how can we obtain a copy of the recorded second lien deed of trust that is mailed directly to Lakeview? So Tim, how is that working? I noticed we had a question the other day that was emailed that our second lien deed of trust says to send the recorded version to Lakeview. Is that something that we might consider changing, since that does make it difficult for the lender to receive that recorded version?
No, and I think they go to a third party up in maybe Minnesota who handles that for Lakeview, but maybe one of the Lakeview people.
Rosa, do you have any suggestions? Because right now we have on the deed of trust instructions to the title company and or you know, county to mail the recorded version of the deed of trust directly to you guys. Do you have any suggestions on how someone might get a recorded version?
Indicom, which is their third party document custodian.
Yes, they are shipped to Indicom. They are a final doc vendor. The only thing I can suggest is if the lenders do need a copy of that recorded second lien deed of trust, is that they have their title companies ship them directly to them, to their office, and then the lender ships them to Indicom after they've made a copy.
Or the
Because other
lender
than that-
could ask title to ship them a copy of it.
Or that, yes, even better.
Yeah, yeah. So that way we don't have to worry about that. The title company can ship the recorded version directly to Lakeview with a copy going to the lender.
Yeah.
The reason we put that Indicom address on the deed of trust is because we were getting hundreds of them sent to TSAHC. And, you know, then you're opening up a big can of worms, documents getting lost. You know, I think I have a big stack of them in my office right now, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, that makes sense, because we would get them also in our office as well, and it's the cleaner process goes directly to Indicom, and they process and they do all that stuff instead of going to another office.
Thank you very much, Rosa. So I see a question from Patricia. Can TSAHC correct the second lien note when we add the NPS to the second page of the note, their name is added to the signature line. Do you understand what they're asking for, Tim?
Yes. Yeah, we're working on making that correction. So Danielle, we have a pre-fill option for the primary borrowers in that section. So if they, so that field automatically comes down to the signature line, and it has the NPS's name if they put that in that area. So we need to get that fixed so it doesn't transfer down to the signature line.
Okay.
We're working on that.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you for pointing that out, Patricia.
Yeah.
So it looks like I don't have any other questions or comments in the moment. We will stay on the call for another minute or two, but if you do have any more questions or comments, please make them now. I think this is a good time to open it up to Jed and his karaoke driving.
I'm finding a good song now. Bear with me.
Okay. Tom, do you have any comments or anything you want to make to anyone on the call?
Well, just definitely appreciate the attendance, and hopefully this was a good opportunity to see what the biggest errors are and prevent those from happening again. So just happy that we put this training on. So if there are any people out there that were struggling to get their conditions and things like that, this was a good opportunity to learn about those. So appreciate that.
Great, thank you. And I appreciate you helping Tom coordinate it and get the word out. We actually did have quite a few folks logged on today. I think upwards of close to 300 folks were logged on. So we definitely appreciate your attendance, and I plan on sending out the recording and the slide deck, and then we plan on having Tim star in the show at least once a year.
Very nice.
Well, we'll see.
You did great, Tim. I promise. It was way better than I could. And see, Alexandria said, "Laugh out loud." You go, Tim. Oh, that's
Okay,
from
thank
Kelly.
you.
It says from
Thank
Kelly.
you.
Jim, you were great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, it looks like we haven't had any more questions come in, so I think it's a good time to sign off. Again, thank you everyone for joining us, and we absolutely hope that this will help you get your loan sold to Lakeview quicker and more timely, and save everyone a lot of money and headache. So we appreciate your attendance, and we look forward to seeing how this might improve your turn times with getting everything from start to finish done with our program. So thank you again for attending, and we hope to see you again on the next one, or not.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle.
You too. Bye-bye.